Thank you first, both. Wait, I think I need to accept the recording, so hold on.
Thank you. Sorry.
There we go. There we go. So, thank you first and foremost to Allison and Anna. And again, thank you for all of your grace when I, due to a health incident, could not be here last week. So welcome to What Are They Thinking? As I was preparing to meet with all of you last week and today, I was thinking through all the different educational opportunities that you actually have available to you. There's a lot out there, right? So the first thing I want to do, unless you're driving, if you're driving, don't do this. Everyone raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Go ahead. Reach over your left shoulder and pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back. And now anybody who's hand up, we just need to put those down. So we gotta put those down, because think about it. You could be absolutely anywhere this morning, 8:30 Wednesday morning, summer, and you're here. You're here to learn. You're here to participate. And your active participation clearly demonstrates that you're living the philosophy that your business grows to the extent that you do. So who's ready to grow? This might be a little interactive. So as Allison said, my name is Kara Moll, and I've actually been a performance coach with MAPS coaching for it's coming in on 10 years now. I'm a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming and IPEC certified energy leadership coach. I'm certified in EQ, which is emotional intelligence. And I've had the honor and privilege of teaching a class called Language of Sales for over 5 years. And I spent a lot of my time coaching other coaches. And communication is so important within that. And most recently, I was actually hand chosen by the best-selling author of Exactly What to Say, Phil Jones, to be one of his certified guides, which means I'm one of only 30 people in the world that's actually authorized to teach and facilitate his material. And it's been such a huge learning experience for me. Now, the bottom line is this. You can call me a word nerd. Go ahead, because I like diving into the meanings of words, their literalness, etc., because that's what our brain hears. That's what our unconscious mind hears. You can call me a word nerd, but really, I'm a communication junkie. That's what I am. So I'm excited to spend time with you today in an area that's truly a passion of mine, powerful language. So let's get going, okay? Enough about me. Have you ever wondered what people are thinking? Like, I don't mean in a judgmental, like, oh my God, what were they thinking way. I mean, because I know we do that too, right? And hopefully it stays inside and it doesn't come out. I mean, really wonder what thoughts are going on in their mind. Maybe you're at a listing appointment and you just gave a top-notch presentation because that's what you do and that's who you are. And the potential clients across the table, well, they're poker faced. They're sitting there looking, and you kind of see them side eyeing each other. And you're wondering, what are they thinking? Are they ready to sign? Are they going to say no? It's those moments of what's next that creates stress in us. And they allow us to tap into our power of influence when you know how to use it. So let's do a quick experiment. So again, if you're driving, don't do this experiment, okay? Everybody take a moment, take a deep breath in and let it out. Now, and go ahead and close your eyes because I'm going to ask you to envision something. So right now in your mind, envision a green shirt. Now picture a green short sleeve shirt. Now picture a green short sleeve shirt made of cotton. Now picture a green short sleeved polo style cotton shirt. Now picture a mint green short sleeve cotton polo styled shirt. key in on that. Everybody's got that visual in your mind. Now go ahead and open your eyes. How many times did your internal representation of that shirt change? I mean, very rarely would someone ever go, I automatically picked a mint green, mint green polo shirt. Based on what I said, it was most likely 6 or 7 times, depending on what your brain was telling you to search for it at that moment. That is what we call your internal representation. Each of us went from whatever green meant to us to picturing some sort of upper body garment in shade of green. For some, it might have been a long sleeve sweater at that point. For others, a t-shirt, a tank top. Some greens were light, dark, yellow greens, blue greens. I mean, we're all across the board here. Whichever it was for you was exactly right and comfortable for whom? For you. Now, however, if I look at all the participants on here, what may have been right for Lori, that green shirt might not have been right for Kristen. It's a great example because think about this. Whichever you thought was exactly right and comfortable for you. So I think you're starting to understand how words can actually lead someone in a specific direction, just like I did with you a few minutes ago. I helped you craft your internal representation, the more specific I became. So now let's do this. Let's imagine that now I told you, my birthday was coming up, right? And I wanted to get a green shirt, for my birthday, to wear. And I asked you what I should get. What would most people do in that moment? What would they do?
I guess I would tell you what I want.
Exactly. What's the key word in there, Allison?
Tell.
Well, tell and I. Right. That's the green shirt I want. Oh, I know exactly. I know exactly what you want, right? So being the amazing friend that you are, Allison, you would go get me that green shirt because you wanted to surprise me. You would get me exactly the green shirt that you thought would be perfect for me. And yet it might not have been the green shirt I was thinking of.
Shouldn't you ask questions first?
We're getting there.
What's your favorite color? What color green? What style do you like?
Yes, Walter, and that's exactly where we're going.
Okay.
So way to be ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah.
So
Walter.
Exactly. High fives.
Here, we can do this again.
Right. So the problem with that is your internal representation, your idea is not the same as my idea.
Correct.
In most cases, you could give a perfectly thoughtful gift that fit your perception, not mine. And that's because our internal representations are not in alignment. So these internal representations that each of us hold, they hold immense power because they influence our emotion, our physiology, our behaviors. And you don't want to be at that listing table giving the perfectly perfect advice to the wrong question. So technically speaking, an internal representation, and maybe you want to write down some notes while we're talking today. An internal representation, or an IR, are the mental images and thoughts that we form in response to information and experiences that we've had. And they are important because they can create emotion in people. So as you use your language, you create an internal representation in the listener's mind. Important things to remember with internal representations are this. An internal representation, it's easy for me to say, creates a state, which another word for state is how someone feels. So an internal representation creates a feeling, and then that feeling triggers a physiological reflex, which is the way the body responds, which that's just another word. That's a fancy way to say action. right? So we have a feeling, and because of that, we take an action. And then because of that, a behavior is created. So another way to say that, and the easy way to write this, is feeling plus action equals behavior. Someone feels something, they take action, it's behavior. And once you have that, you go out looking for evidence to support that in the same way over and over. Someone's internal representation is what they are thinking. It's how they experience and see the world. And by mastering just a few simple language techniques, we can influence others positively. And in this case, help our sellers and buyers to make decisions that are in alignment with their goals. Now, that's the important thing to remember. It's always about their goals, right? You've all heard, oh, I met with a salesperson and boy, they had commission breath, or I don't want to be the person with commission breath. That happens because someone is tuned into their own motivation and not someone else's. The late great Zig Ziglar used to say, help enough people get what they want and you'll get what you want. And the way we do that is by understanding what they really want. So you may be thinking, great. So Kara's just shown us that even though we're all in the same place, envisioning the same thing, it's likely we're not on the same page. Yeah, that's true. So how do we get on the same page? Well, Walter gave us a little hint, and yet we're going to get even more specific on this. You actually dig in and ask powerful questions. Powerful questions. What? That's it? Asking powerful questions? Yes, because powerful questions are not normal, average, everyday questions. They're powerful. They're the superheroes of questions. They give us insight because they get the other person in the conversation speaking and answering questions that actually make them have to think, meaning they don't have a conditioned habitual response to it. They can't just answer like that. So to understand it better, let's first talk about what isn't a powerful question. Any question that starts with the word why. Any question that starts with the word why. So write the word why, draw a circle around it and write that line through it, like that red line, like don't use the word why. Anybody know the reason we say that?
Don't use the word why.
Don't use the word why. That's not powerful. Anyone?
It gives them a way out.
It could.
Do they have a conditioned response?
They could have a conditioned response to it. And if you think back to what we were just talking about, if I ask you a why question, like who was that said that, a conditioned response?
Me, Jennifer.
Jennifer. All right, Jennifer, I can't see you, so I can't use you.
Sorry.
So, all right. So I can see Anna and I can see what Anna's wearing. So, Anna, why did you wear that shirt today?
Because it was at the top of the laundry basket.
Okay. All right. So think about that though. Anna, how did you feel when I asked you that question?
Yeah, immediately a little bit of a defense, like why?
Exactly.
Like, why are you asking me that, Kara?
And
what's wrong with my shirt?
Exactly.
If there is something wrong with it. There's a stain on it, which I realized at the gym.
Well, you know what? We couldn't see that because your name is covering it. So, but thanks for being always honest and transparent. And I could be saying that why did you wear that shirt today? I absolutely love it for this weather. But our internal representation, most people are conditioned that why questions are confrontational. They're confrontational. Side note, if you've ever heard like, what's your big why? What's your big why? What's your big why? Most people struggle with it because why is confrontational. So substitute the word purpose there instead. That's just a side note. That's a lesson for a different day, right? So think about this. Why questions we become internally defensive. So this is going to take some practice because most of us naturally ask why questions. Instead of why, I'm going to give you some other ways to ask questions. The second reason if you've been around little kids or no little kids and they just ask why, at the end of the day, the answer is because, right? And again, it's another form of grading. We've been programmed that the answer to a why question is, well, because I want to. Now I have to defend myself. Get away from me. Stop it. Right? In the simplest form, the word why makes us justify our behavior. Who wants to go around justifying their behavior? If you're at the closing table and you want that signature and you say, why aren't we going to sign right now? Well, you've just put the sellers on the defensive. And when they're on the defensive, and we got to get them to neutral before we can get them to a yes. So don't put them on the defensive. So if someone, and just think of that little child over and over. I've got 2 grandkids, 4 and 2. And why? The 4-year-old, why? Oh my gosh. If I never hear that word again, I'd be perfectly fine. So there is a time where you do want to use why questions though. They're actually really great questions if you are trying to start a fight. I mean, try that with your spouse. Why'd you do that? And just see what happens. However, they're really, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. They're actually really weak though, if you're looking to build a relationship or to get someone to move it forward in the direction that they want to go. And for those reasons, we're going to recognize that a why question will not allow us a further peek into someone's internal representation. It's going to just shut the listener down, and even worse, could cause them to be very defensive. And at that moment, the client or potential client, the moment they get defensive, you're done. You've lost their trust. And we know that trust is imperative to building a successful relationship. All right. So now that we talked about what isn't a powerful question, let's talk about what is. Powerful questions are open-ended, meaning they can't be answered with a yes or no, right? They're thought-provoking, meaning it causes someone to think. They don't have a canned answer. They're clarity seeking. So open-ended, thought-provoking, clarity seeking. We're asking these questions, these powerful questions, to get more information, to hone their internal representation so that we can further understand their internal representation as opposed to just applying ours. And the last thing is they're solution-oriented. As real estate agents, as real estate professionals, we should always be solution oriented. So the 4 things again, open-ended, thought-provoking, clarity seeking, and solution oriented. Powerful questions cause the listener to search for answers. Their unconscious mind is like literally, it's like a Rolodex. It's searching, it's spinning, searching for answers. And they're also searching for choices because they have to think about it. Powerful questions give us the deepest insight into someone's internal representation. And they start with these words. So you might want to write these down. Who? What? When? So we've got who, what, when, where, and how. Who, what, when, where, and how. So remember, powerful questions are open-ended because we want the listener to have to think and give us a more thorough answer, not just a yes or no, because that yes or no would limit it and cause us to focus on our internal representation. So let's go over some examples. You're at that closing table and the seller goes, I'm not sure if we're ready yet. A great, powerful question could be, how does that fit into your plan? What have we caused them to do? They actually have to stop and think about, oh, we're not ready yet. Well, what is our plan? Do we have a plan? Maybe we should have a plan. They start thinking. Another great question. What's the outcome you're looking to achieve? What's the outcome you're looking to achieve? You're at that closing table. We're not sure yet. So what's really the outcome you're looking to achieve by meeting with me today? Now, hopefully you know the answer before that and you're just reinforcing it. Another one, when? When would it make sense to have a conversation, our next conversation about this? When would it make sense to have our next conversation about this? Or if they're like, well, we need to talk to our lender before we can move, when would it make sense to have a conversation with the lender? So far we've got a how, what, when. How about a where? Okay, I'm not sure we're ready to sign yet. Where will that take you? Where will that take you? So understand that not only is this important to write these things, how important is it to actually practice speaking them? Because I'm sure what you're picking up on too is my tonality as I say them. Any one of these questions might come across wrong if the correct tonality isn't used. And yet when we're using the right tonality, it's going to open up their mind. So now it's your turn. Let's go back to the scenario I mentioned when we started. You're at a listing appointment. You gave your, oh my gosh, this was the best listing presentation you've ever given. And the potential clients are just across the table like this. And you're wondering, what are they thinking? Are they ready to sign? Are they going to say no? Use the chat box and create a powerful question that you would ask in that moment. You can make it up. It could be anything. Go ahead. We'll wait for a couple of them to come in. Allison?
I gave you a zinger. I gave you a real bad one.
Yes, you did. Thank you for being the example of what not to say, exactly
You're
what
welcome.
not to say.
You're
So
welcome.
rephrase it as an open-ended question.
Did you see Stephanie's? Where should I place the lockbox?
She added.
I love that
That's
answer. That's awesome.
that is brilliant. And
Not what Kara's after, but that was a really good answer.
you know what? That's a cut to the chase. That's a cut
It
to the
is.
chase. I see you thinking about it. In the meantime, where should I place the lockbox? I love it. I love it. So, all right. So let's start with the ones that have come in already. Allison, are you ready to sign the documents and get your home sold? All right. That is not a powerful question because that is a yes or no. I mean, if we're in a gray area, you don't want to do that because people's conditioned habitual response to a yes or no question is no.
All right, let's try this again.
Yeah.
Kara.
So you work on that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Kara,
Mhm.
what would it look like if we put your house on the market and we got a contract in 30 days?
Love that. Love that. Another one along those lines, Allison. Let's play here. How would it feel to put your house on the market now and you be under contract in 30 days and packing boxes?
It would
Right?
feel stressful, but good.
Stressful and good. That's okay. What about that would be stressful? Well, I
Well,
don't know that we could get it ready, right?
30
And then
days seems really short, but we want to be in Ohio with the grandkids by school. So we can do it. We can make it happen.
perfect. So what's keeping you from actually signing right now then?
Well, my sister's best friend is a realtor, and we felt like we owe it to her to interview with her too.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed my presentation today about what our team's going to do to get your house sold?
Oh, 10. You've been great. You've been great.
And if your sister's friends, cousins, realtors wasn't in the picture, uncle wasn't in the picture, you would work with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Then let's go ahead and do this. In our industry, we actually can pay referral fees to people. How about if we give them a paycheck for not even doing anything? We'll give them a referral fee and you hire the professional that you know is going to get the job done.
That would be great. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's sign now.
Great.
I mean, we went down a bunny trail there. So,
yeah, but you know, the
yep.
thing about that is you didn't pre-negotiate a referral fee. You're just gonna call up Anna and say, hey, Anna, just wanted to let you know I went on a listing appointment. They said that they were gonna meet with you, but I'll go ahead and give you $100 at closing and call it a day.
Just said that it's an industry, we're an industry that we're allowed to do that, right? Okay, so let's look at other ones. Lori, great. What is your goal? I love that because and then what we do then after that is we just zip it. I know, realtors, ooh, it's one of the most difficult things we have to do, but zip it because the person who talks first loses. And you don't want to be the one that loses, right? So where should I place the lock? I do love that. What would it take for me to get you to sign with me today? I like that, Walter. And again, if they're like on the fence, that might be a little pushy. So we might want to take it down one notch before we get there. What haven't I answered for you today that would make you comfortable signing? Because remember, an objection is an unanswered question in the mind of the other person. It just means they have more questions that aren't answered. They may be processing. They may be processing everything that happened and they're not sure. And as you give them that time to think about it, they really are like, okay, no, I think I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Yeah, let's go forward. Okay. So Chris, where are you planning to move after we close on your home? I love that. I love that. Right. There we go. The Allison, the person that talks first loses. So great job, everyone. Okay. I'm going to do one more example here because this is one we see all the time. A buyer's considering waiting for interest rates to come down. You're working with a buyer and they're like, oh, you've had the great consultation. And they're like, you know what? I think we really need to wait for interest rates to come down. What's a powerful question that you could ask them? Who, what, where, when, how?
How would it feel if in 6 months interest rates actually go up?
That's a great one. That's a great one. Anybody else? You could type it or you can come off mute and say it.
Who told you interest rates were going down?
There you go. That's interesting. Who told you that interest rates are going down? Where did you hear that interest rates are going down, right?
Ashley said, what number
Yes.
are you looking for them to come down to?
That's great because that may never happen. And yes, I love the follow-up too, Ashley.
Yeah,
What
what
hap-
happens if they don't come down? Mhm.
And you want to make that even more powerful, Ashley? What happens when they don't come down? Not if they don't come down, when they don't come down. Subtle difference in words, huge difference in impact on the unconscious mind. What happens when they don't come down? And in the meantime, prices have gone up. Yikes.
How would you feel about losing equity in your home while you wait for those interest rates to come down?
There you go. There you go. Love that. Love that. So what do you want your monthly payment to look like? Another great one. Get into facts because logic makes people think, emotion makes them act, right? I love this. You guys are getting the hang of it, right? Now let's do one more. All of you are amazing and you're negotiating a contract and you're talking to the agent on the other side. And it could be a buyer's agent or a listing agent. Give me a question or two that you might ask an agent on the other side in your negotiating. And you can go ahead and use the box again, type. And we'll wait for you guys to type a few and then we'll read them. You're negotiating, you're an expert negotiator because you ask the right questions, powerful questions.
Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
You're what we're doing this scenario is you're in a negotiation with another agent.
Got it. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So Anna said, when would your clients ideally like to move? And Chris said, how soon would your client like to close?
Yep. Both great. Valerie said something similar too. Yep. What is their bottom line, right? What would it take to get the seller to accept an offer today? I think Patty, you're on the right track. I like that. You know, sometimes the most simple, what's the most important thing to your client? You know, as we negotiate this, what's the most important thing to your client? Because I don't know if you guys have realized, I've been doing this since 2003, so 21 years. Like I'm on my third 7-year itch right now in real estate. Realtors like to talk. You ask a question and all of a sudden you know everything about the clients. Now, you don't be that person. You don't be that agent. You uphold the NAR ethics and standards and like do not disclose anything you're not supposed to. But ask the question and let the other side do it and gather all the information that you can use to strengthen your case in the negotiations. So Ashley says, what's important to your seller? That's it. What's important to the seller? What's important to the buyer? And then don't stop there. If they go, well, they really need to close by such and such. Tell me what's important about that date. And what happens if they don't mean that date? Do you see how we're extrapolating information from them that is going to help us strengthen our negotiating position? Powerful questions are so important in life and uber important in negotiations. Because we're going to ask powerful questions so we go in for the what? For the close. So we actually know we've got enough evidence now. So based on what you told me that they want to be moved to Ohio within 45 days, and that this is the first offer that came in, and that they're thinking of reducing the price. So based on that, an offer of blank looks like it would be in the ballpark and would be something that I know you as an amazing agent could get your sellers to take. That's right, isn't it? And I've just set that other agent up, one, to not only feel good about themselves, but I now used everything they told me to hand them an offer on a silver platter. So are you guys tracking with this?
Hey,
Yeah,
Karen,
that's awesome.
can I ask a question here? It's kind of related, I
Absolutely.
think.
Yeah.
You know, the negotiations conversation is great. I think that in the market that we're in right now, I feel like we are seeing showings, and one of our issues is we're not getting really good feedback from the other agent on how the showing went, or, we're like, we get feedback all the time, and I'm like, this is clearly the buyer's agent, in my opinion, as a list agent, really not understanding where the buyer is in the process. And so what are some of those Q questions that we could be using to kind of pre-qualify, thinking about maybe even ahead of a showing or directly after a showing as a listing agent, where we're really trying to get a clearer picture from the buyer's agent on what can you share about your buyer? Where is the buyer at in the process? Because I feel like so often we're kind of left as list agents at the mercy of the buyer's agent to communicate value clearly, have some of these harder conversations. And I don't believe that they're having them. We're seeing a lot more terminations. We're seeing just, I think, mishandling a lot of these transactions. So in your professional opinion, what are some of the talk tracks that we could be using maybe before showing, directly after showing, to try to make sure that we're engaged with that buyer's agent, and that we're getting on the same page and able to get the information we need to help our seller understand the context of that showing? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Anna. And you spewed out two great questions. What's important to your buyer? So, I know this house really well. What's important to your buyer? What caused them to pick this house, right? So that, I can answer any questions. And where are they at in the process? It's a fabulous question. Where are they at in the process? Have they been looking at 100? How long have they been looking? They've been looking at 100 houses over the past 3 years. Now, right? Unfortunately, what you're describing, Anna, is, I'm going to call it, a systemic lack of skills in our profession. Right, is that we have a lot of agents out there that there's a low barrier of entry into our profession. They get a license and they think it's easy. They think they work on, especially with the influencer generation now, they think they work on HGTV. They show 3 houses and it's done, right? That's not what it takes. So we can't fix others. However, asking questions like you did, maybe having something where you do like a quick little survey before. I mean, think about this. What we're talking about is verbal right now. This can also be in writing. Here's a quick survey before we confirm your appointment. And you have a link to a little jot form or a Google survey that says, here's 4 questions that I want to know. And then we'll give you the access to the property, right? Presuming you guys use lock boxes, things like that. Then we'll confirm the showing. You give me the information I want, then you get to, nobody says that just because someone calls and they give you their agent ID, you have to give them the code. You can add different layers in there. So use that information and, take the things you would ask at the end. How long have, what's this buyer's time frame? How long have they been looking? What's most important to them? Have that agent fill it out in advance. Fill it out in advance, make it foolproof for them, and then they get the code. So that would be my suggestion. And, if that becomes an industry standard, remember that was born right here today. That was born
it's
right here
funny.
today because I just thought of that off the top of my head.
I think we've also internally like pitched that back and forth a little bit, like, because that is one of the things that we really use in our listing presentations is we want to pre-qualify that buyer's agent. But you're right. Once the appointment's confirmed, like, I mean, and it's bizarre to me because chances are we could be working together in 3 hours, but they won't respond to my text when I just ask
No.
the questions of like, hey, why did your buyer pick this home to look at? We're just so curious. And I know, especially in our third-party website click world, sometimes I know that person is meeting that buyer at the door. So maybe
Right.
they don't have tons of context, but us understanding that is helpful too. That's helpful for us as listing agents to understand.
Exactly, Anna. So let's talk about a few more things and then we'll do some more Q&A if that's okay.
Yeah.
So great job on your sentences, everyone. Let me just say that. And always remember this. Our goal is to meet people where they are and take them to where they want to go, right? We're not pushing them to do anything because nobody wants to be pushed. If I came up to you and pushed you, what would you do? You'd push me back. You'd like run away crying. You'd sit there and pout, whatever. Don't push anyone. Use your words, ask powerful questions to understand what they want. So now you can link arms or use the visual of now I'm going to join them on their side of the table and we're going to move forward together. It has to be about them achieving their goal. The moment you make it about you, you lose. You lose. So the more impact the more you impact the people in your presence in a positive way, the more empowered they'll feel. I have a feeling that's why you're all here today, because you've got two leaders on here that care about impacting you in a positive way. And that's why you show up. So when people are empowered in your presence, they're going to anchor that state of empowerment to you. And when people anchor strong feelings of positivity to you, just imagine what type of ripple effect that's going to have on your business. People like, trust, and refer people that make them feel good. They refer people who create a positive experience. I know you guys agree with that. So I know that in many markets, and yours is not immune, you're probably feeling a shift in certain segments of the market. There's a shift in their industry, isn't there? In the way we conduct business, there's going to be a big shift. There may never be another time in your career when your level of linguistic skills may be the determining factor in controlling your destiny. What I mean by that is, if we know our number of appointments is going down, because of economic factors or whatever's going on in the industry or local market, then every appointment is more important than ever, isn't it? So instinctively, you already know that understanding the need to take advantage of the opportunity to increase your sales through the mastery of language and utilizing powerful questions, it's just one simple and easy way that can have a huge impact. Now, here's my challenge to you. Pay attention. Could you make it through one whole day giving absolutely zero advice? Only asking questions? What about an hour? Could you even make it through an hour? Yeah,
No.
I knew that. I knew that.
Allison's
But
gonna
think
make
about
it
that.
5 minutes.
Right. Think about that. That would be the key, because people feel empowered when they're answering questions, when they're self-discovering. We don't realize it as we're doing it, but this is what happens. So did you ever go to a party and you come home from that party and you're like, oh my gosh, I just met so-and-so and they were, oh my gosh, I really love talking to them. What that person probably did was ask you questions about you, and you were talking about yourself, a topic you know and felt comfortable with. And therefore you go home and you anchor the strong feelings of positivity to them, and all they did was ask about you. So play the question game with your family. Don't tell them, maybe tonight at dinner, the next family outing, when you're all together, don't tell them. And anytime someone asks you a question, you answer it with a powerful question. The object is to not get caught. My husband will literally tell me, are we playing the game? I'm like, no, I just want to know what's causing you to ask that question. He puts up with a lot. So speaking of questions and powerful questions, what questions do you have for me?
Anybody have any questions?
This
I
is amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Thank you, Ruth Ann.
Yes. I would love to know like what resources that I could get like access to help me just hone in on this craft. If you have any that are, that you would suggest.
Well, that's a great question, and thanks for being here, Ruth. The thing with these skills are they're based on NLP, neuro linguistic programming, but you can go pick up a book on NLP, and all it's going to tell you is this is a technique. It's not going to tell you the application of it. So what I would say is, and this is not to be a commercial, and Allison, we didn't set this up this way, but I've got plenty of classes coming up that are a series where we actually work on these techniques, because again, it's great in writing and it's great in verbal, and you have to practice it. So it's not just like a quick one day, like, oh, I went to this great seminar and now I can use these 8 techniques. You've got to practice them over time. So stay tuned. I'll make sure Anna and Allison have that information. The one thing that I'm going to tell you, Ruth Ann, practice what we talked about today and watch your results get elevated. Don't throw a wide net. Practice asking powerful questions. And I'd love to hear from you in 30 days, because of practicing it, how much stronger your business has gotten and your communication. Because remember, one of my mentors, Susan Scott, wrote the book Fierce Conversations, which is a great book if you haven't read it. Fierce Conversation says the conversation is the relationship. So ask powerful questions and keep the relationship going. Focus on that.
Yeah. This has been great, Kara. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank
and
you.
again, Kara, if you have anything or anything you can give us, we'll make sure we email blasted it to everybody.
That's
and
awesome.
all that
Thank
good
you.
Stuff. And this has been wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you for the honor and privilege. And again, I just appreciate all of you. And if you have any questions, Kara@caramall.com, nice and easy, Kara@caramall.com. Reach out to me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
chat.
Al.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Buford, see you in a couple hours. I'm leaving.
Bye.